With 2016 finally drawing to a close, the time has come for us to look back over the year in games and pick out some of our favourites. Now, I'll kick this off by saying my game of the year is Overwatch, but it's also Chris Bratt's game of the year, and since he was the one who reviewed it for Eurogamer, it made sense that he should be the one to make a video about it. Still, never mind, because Dishonored 2 also came out this year, and it's pretty flipping excellent. As well as providing some really stunning level design, it's also helped me get past one of my biggest problems with the first Dishonored, and with stealth games in general. In other words, Dishonored 2 helped me get over my fear of getting caught. See, here's a confession, I never actually finished the first Dishonored. Truth be told, I never even got past, I think, the third mission? The reason for this is mainly because I never really fancied deliberately playing high chaos, at least not on my first playthrough. That's not to say I was against offing a few guards every now and then, but going on a straight up murder rampage was never really my primary motivation. And rather than save scamming my way through the whole game, I decided to play it as it lies, to borrow a phrase from the rules of golf. Non-lethal and stealthy as possible was the basic idea, but then if I got seen and had to kill a couple of people in order to survive, well then, so be it. Only thing was, I definitely end up getting spotted at least once or twice in the course of any given mission, so I ended up cursing and blustering my way through more fights than I really wanted, because Dishonored is kind of unforgiving once the alarm is raised. Unless you're good at running and hiding, which I'm not, you're going to have to fight, and that generally means killing someone. I realise there are going to be some Dishonored fans out there saying no but, and yeah, they're right, Dishonored doesn't force you to kill anyone. But nonetheless, blundering my way through every single level made me feel bad and stupid. I had the same problem with Metal Gear Solid 5. I made a video about it in fact, because that game made me panic like you wouldn't believe. So anyway, I'd get frustrated with Dishonored and I'd put it down and I'd leave it for a few months and then I'd go back to it thinking, right, this time I'm gonna get it. And to be honest, I never did. I've restarted Dishonored at least 5 times now, no joke, and all the opening sections do these days is remind me how dissatisfied I was with the way things went the first time. In other words, I was too worried about how imperfectly I was progressing to progress at all, until Dishonored 2 came along.
Your Imperial Majesty and Royal Protector Corvo Atano.
When I started playing Dishonored 2, something clicked, and I think a lot of that is down to the level design. The levels in Dishonored 2 are more ambitious and expansive, especially in terms of height, and I find I can just read them a bit better. That's or they've made it easier for me to get around choke points, whichever. Either way, I can look at a section of level and think, man, there's probably a path off round this way somewhere, and I'm usually correct. The level design also makes it an easier game to hide in, mostly thanks to that extra verticality, which is perfect for flummoxing pursuing guards without having to flee into a different area and, potentially, even more guards. Another welcome addition is the option to fight non-lethally. In the first Dishonored, getting seen is a major problem because there's no way to knock someone out without using a sleep dart or catching them unawares. Dishonored 2 enables you to choke people out during combat, which is perfect when you round a corner and stumble into a lone guard who might otherwise raise the alarm. It's a little more forgiving, in other words. Emily's power set in particular is also pretty good for playing non-lethally. Doppelganger is a really handy power, as is Mesmerize. Again, I don't want it to seem like I'm down on the first Dishonored, or on Corvo, but so many of his powers were, and are, geared toward a lethal approach, so it often felt like you were missing out if you went non-lethal. So basically all of these things combined to make a game I was able to make progress with, one that opened up to me in a way the first one simply didn't. Dishonored 2 is a really interesting, layered package that manages to make the player feel clever for finding a particular path or a hidden room, even if it's something they were in all probability intended to find anyway. So finally I feel like I've been able to take off the Dunwall dunce cap and see what all the fuss is about, which is nice. But anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this video on what was nearly but not quite my game of the year. What was yours? Let me know your favourites from 2016 in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching this video, and indeed anything else you watched from us this year. If you want to keep track of everything we publish in 2017, please do make sure you're subscribed. If you'd rather wing it, that's fine too. Either way, thanks again for watching, and have a very lovely day.